But what you have to remember is on those days where it feels sucky and it feels crummy and it feels hard, is that it's not an indictment of you. It is simply just management. That's all it is. It is not you. You are not a failure. It's just that the journey of management is really, really hard. Hey there, welcome back to the channel. And if you're new around here, well, my name is Mac and I'm a leadership and team building coach, but I work specifically with first-time team managers. So we are at the end of the year. It's literally 2 weeks left and it is a wrap on 2021. And I know that right now everybody's minds are like kind of steeped in performance reviews, year-end reviews, and like setting goals for next year. But what I wanted to do on this channel is just put a pin and a pause on things to talk to you. Because I know what it's like when you're the person having to take care of everybody else and nobody is really taking care of you. As a manager, that's kind of like the reality of the situation, right? You need to be steeped in these performance reviews, giving, reinforcement and positive reinforcement to your team members, but maybe your manager isn't doing the same for you. And so that's why I wanted to like I said, put a pause and really make sure that you get the support from me because you already know that I've been where you were at. I remember what it was like when I first got started and I didn't really have that like positive reinforcement. I had no idea if what I was doing was like right. And it led to me kind of feeling like a failure every day. And I know I often talk to you guys about like my mentors and sponsors that I had, but that didn't come from me until like 6 months down the road. So for like a solid good 6 months, I really was like questioning myself constantly, wondering if I was a failure. So like I said, knowing that you might be where I was at that time, I want to make sure that, on this channel, I'm acknowledging you if nobody else is acknowledging you and just have real talk with you about how to prepare. And I also just want to make sure that your cup is full and that you're feeling good so that next year you can come back super strong and ready to go. Okay, so let's dive into this. Okay, so first things first. If your manager has not already sat you down and told you this, then I want you to hear it from me from this channel right now, which is that you're doing a good job. You really are. You did really, really good this year. And now I know that you might not be feeling like that right now. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed. Maybe you're feeling stressed. Maybe you're feeling like a failure. I'm not entirely sure how you're feeling, but I want you to know that you're doing a good job. And if you are having crummy feelings about the situation right now, I also want you to know that that's normal. And, the reason why that's normal is because management is lonely. It's lonely for a variety of reasons. Like, first of all, it's lonely because most likely you've had to step back from certain things, like step back from being like invited to things and being in the mix with team members. Or maybe like you were part of the team before and now that you're team leader, you're kind of like being perceived as one of them. You're being perceived as like management now. Or maybe you're just feeling lonely because you've had to make a lot of tough but needed decisions this year that has kind of like made you kind of unpopular amongst the team. Like those could be the reasons, or there could be various other reasons. But either way, I know that management is lonely. And so oftentimes we're going through the highs and lows of management on our own. And those lows are like really low. They're really low. So I guess I just wanted to let you know that like, despite the lows that you might be having, that you are doing a good job. You are doing a good job. And I want to reinforce to you that the lows that you're having, like, again, those are completely normal. And I think the problem that we experience a lot of times is that a lot of people want you to think that management is like this, right? That it's a straight line. That it's just like one foot and one step in front of the other, when in actuality, management is a lot like this. The journey of management is really, really, really messy. And that's what contributes to like I said, the highs and the lows that you have, right? So like one day you might be on a high and feeling like, I got this, I'm freaking good at my job, I'm on top of everything. And then like the next day in your low, you might be curled up in, fetal position, just like wondering if this is for you and if you should give up. That is completely normal, is basically what I'm trying to tell you. We all experience that. You are not alone in those feelings. But what you have to remember is on those days where it feels sucky and it feels crummy and it feels hard, is that it's not an indictment of you. It is simply just management. That's all it is. It is not you. You are not a failure. It's just that the journey of management is really, really hard. So a couple of weeks ago in the accelerator program, one of our more like seasoned students in the accelerator program, Natalie, she shared with one of our newcomers, so one of our new managers that enrolled, she shared with her some words of wisdom. And I just loved what she said, which is what I wanted to share it with you today, because our new students, they usually come in and they feel like a little bit anxious, of course, because they're not entirely sure what to expect. And so Natalie told her, like, listen, you're going to do just great, but just know that the growth is painful. It's painful. But if you stick with it and if you do the work and if you hold firm on your integrity, you're going to come out winning every single time. That's what she told her. And I was like listening to this going, well, dang, the student has now become the teacher. No, but seriously, it's so true. And that's why I wanted to share it with you today. Like, she's absolutely right. In order to be like an awesome leader, you have to grow yourself. And in growing yourself, it is uncomfortable and painful. It's so painful. But if you do it and you stick with it, and like she said, hold firm on your integrity, you're going to come through on the other side. Now, will the process be really painful? Yes. And that's why you're going through this. It's because the process is painful. But that doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong. That's actually an indicator that you're doing a lot right, because that means that you're growing. I also want to remind you to like stop like criticizing yourself, because the truth of the matter is being in a people manager role is difficult. And if you're doing it right and you're growing, then it's going to be painful as well. So I just wanted to let affirm that with you, in case like you're getting down on yourself for where you're at, because I know that oftentimes at the end of the year, we're often like reflecting on what we've done and what we didn't do. And it's so easy to fall into that trap of like criticizing ourselves for the things that we didn't do. So just wanted to point that out. Now, I know you're probably sitting there thinking to yourself, well, okay, now I know that, management is full of highs and lows, but like, how the heck do I get out of these lows? And so I wanted to share with you a couple of just reframes, so that when you find yourself in that low, you can pull yourself through it, because that is really like the key to this, right? Is being able to pull yourself out when you're feeling like defeated and depleted. So I think always the best way to like get out of that rut is to actually prepare for it. Prepare for it by starting to increase your resilience. Increase your resilience through the way that you actually see things. I think it was like a couple of videos back that I did where I talked about like challenges, and I was mentioning to you that the most successful people in the world actually view their obstacles and problems as simply challenges, things that they can overcome if they just like stop and think through it. So I want you to do the same thing. Like when you are in that low and you're feeling like, I just want to give up, I don't want to do this anymore, this management thing is too freaking hard, I want you to like, it's okay to like for a second be in your feelings, but I want you to view like getting out as a challenge. So whatever it is, whatever situation you're dealing with, whether it be a team issue, a difficult team member, whatever the situation is, I want you to just think of it as a challenge that you can either go over, go around, go through, go under, and that you will eventually get to the other side. And what this does is it actually like reframes your mind into thinking about your next best step. Because I think oftentimes when we are in situations like this, we tend to like see all the negative around us, which clouds our ability to really think through what the next best step is. And I always tell my accelerator students this, like always think about what's in your control. What is the next best thing that you can do in this situation that will change things? Because it's often the next step that you take that will lead to more and more steps. Okay, so I want you to like just reframe. Whenever you're up against like an obstacle, think of it more as a challenge that you are absolutely able to overcome. The next thing that I want to encourage you to do next year is definitely start setting some boundaries. I feel like managers that I work with that often feel these lows is because they just don't set proper boundaries. Like, to be honest, do you need to be in every meeting that you're being invited to? Probably not. So start saying no to some of those meetings, and like obviously do it in a in a proper and professional way, but like you don't need to be involved in everything. Remember, like your focus needs to be on your team, supporting your manager, and improving the processes. That should be your focus. And if you're like running around in every meeting being strapped for your time, then you're never going to be able to focus on the things that actually matter. So I want you to start setting some boundaries. Say no to things. The other thing too is like if you are constantly on the go, then you're probably not taking time to like refill yourself, which will make you that much more ineffective in doing what you're doing because you're tired. We can't operate when we're tired. No one can operate at their very best or in excellence when they're tired. So I want to encourage you to make it a goal next year and promise yourself that you're going to set some boundaries. Like every person I talk to that has issues with like these deep lows, when I look at it, it's always like there was some boundary issues there. So I just want to encourage you to like improve your boundaries. Say no to more things because just remember that everything you say yes to means that you're saying no to something else. So just be like cognizant of that. And then the other thing I want to encourage you to do next year is to also acknowledge your in-between wins. I know that for a lot of us high achievers and perfectionists, we tend not to really acknowledge the small achievements in between. We set these goals and it's like either I hit this goal or who am I? Either I'm a great manager or I'm not. When the truth of the matter is that there are several like in-between steps that you have to take in order to achieve any goal. And if you don't acknowledge those in-between steps that you're taking, then you're always going to feel depleted. You're always going to feel like you're behind. You're always going to feel like you're not good enough. So I want to encourage you to stop and acknowledge the small things that you're doing. In order to be an assertive manager, for example, you have to first put up your hand at a meeting and speak up about something. You might not think that's a big deal, but it is, because each and every time you do that, you are increasing your assertiveness. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you just have to like actually acknowledge the small in-between wins. Now, a couple of months ago, I actually shared with you guys a leadership development template that I encouraged you to download and to use. That template can actually help you to stop and acknowledge your wins on a more quarterly basis. So I'm going to put the link in the description box below for you so that you can actually download that and use it as like kind of like a year-end review for yourself in terms of the things that you actually grew in and the things that you did really well. And then you can go back to it again, like at the end of Q1 and just look at whether or not you've grown, which of course you have. It's just that you're not stopping to acknowledge it. So I'll put that link for that development plan in the description box below. But yeah, that's like pretty much it. Those were the 3 things that I wanted to share with you, right? Offer that reframe around looking at obstacles as challenges. Number 2, setting more boundaries next year. Learn to say no more. And then number 3, acknowledge the small things that you're doing or the small steps that you're taking in between so that you can see how much you're actually growing and that you're actually making traction and progress in your development and on this management journey that is a real tough one. So I hope that you found this video helpful to you. And like I said, I really hope that your takeaway for this is to know that you're doing a good job and that honestly, journey in management is just treacherous, but you've got this. I know you can do this. So I'm going to be taking off the next 2 weeks just to rest and to recoup and to obviously be there for the accelerator students as they complete their year. And so that's what I'm going to be doing for the next 2 weeks. I hope that you do the same, that you get some rest, however little that might be. I hope that you do get some rest, and I will be seeing you guys in the new year. So I hope that you have a fantastic end to your 2021, and I will be seeing you in the new year with some fresh content around team management. All right, take care, and I'll see you next year.